We've been watching friends and celebrities take part in the ALS Bucket Challenge. It's a fundraiser for ALS. That's where you dump the icy water on yourself, or you get someone to do it for you, and you challenge your friends to do the same. I'll wake you up. This seemed to be the only respite, really, from the barrage of news about people doing harm to others. Now comes a different take on this bucket challenge, and it comes from actor Orlando Jones, and I want to share his take with you.
I'm Orlando Jones, and I'm joining lots of other people in bringing attention to this very serious disease by accepting this challenge. The intention behind the ice challenge, the ice bucket challenge, as it's sometimes called, is great, and I'm gladly going to send my $100 check to support ALS. However, oh man, this past week I watched an American city become something akin to a war zone. And, you know, what's happening in Ferguson is like a copycat, because we've seen it happen in so many other cities around the world and around the globe, which I think are the same thing. It's this sort of us versus them mentality. Thich Nhat Hanh and Sister Chan Kong are still alive, but Gandhi and Martin Luther King and millions of others are dead, and they were fighting for human rights. And it all seems to stem from some militarized police force threatening the rights of people to assemble. Now, I'm a lifetime member of the NRA, and I'm an active member of the great state of Louisiana police force, obviously a special member. So I'm not pointing my fingers here at anybody but myself. And I'm asking something very hard of myself. I'm challenging myself to listen without prejudice, to love without limits, and to reverse the hate. So that's my challenge to me, and hopefully you'll accept this challenge too.
I want to welcome Orlando Jones joining me live this morning from Los Angeles. Thanks so much for spending some of your weekend with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is kind of a shocking image when you see all of those shell casings pouring out on your head. We heard your message following that. What exactly do those shell casings represent to you?
I mean, for me, I couldn't get enough shell casings to showcase the number of people who I believe have died for the fight of human rights. So for me, it was those people and also the victims who've been, lives snatched from them in gun violence. So for me, a lot of people have been involved in this struggle and have paid the ultimate cost.
And you say the people who have lost lives in gun violence, that's a very broad group.
It is, but the number of people who seemingly were shot and unarmed by the police is now a growing number as well. I mean, the truth of the matter is there is an incredible number of issues going on here, and the question on the floor is, what can we all do about it? It's
when he blinks, how come he blinks
like? It's a lot like the 60s. We heard a lot of this when Rodney King happened, and the famous statement, "Can we all get along?" So none of this are new things we're dealing with, but the question for me was, where was I when it was happening in other places to other people who did not look like me? Why did I not stand up then? And I wanted to call myself out on that.
And in some ways, I guess this is your way to protest what's happening. You make the point that, you're coming not from an anti-police or anti-gun stance. You mentioned you're a member of the NRA, an honorary member of the police department there in Louisiana. How important do you think that part is to your message?
Well, I think anytime you're attempting to have a conversation to try and affect change, you have to find a common ground, and we can't do that by pointing the finger at others. Truthfully, black-on-black crime is the #1 killer of black people, as white-on-white crime is the #1 killer of white people. So to point the finger at those organizations and paint them in a color that says that they are all bad, or that they do not have members that are in fact people of color who are just as outraged as we are, I don't think it's not a reasonable conversation. It's a ridiculous point. So for me, it was to say, if we're going to solve this problem, it's something that we all do together, and us versus them. And to me, us versus them is a really simple group. There's us, the people who want to spread love and leave this world better for our children than they found it, and there's them, the people who are okay with the status quo and really don't see any reason to affect any change.
We're out of time, but I have to ask, what kind of response have you received?
It's been an amazing one. I think the most important one is the guy who accepted my challenge and then dumped a bunch of ballots over his head and said that the best way you could vote would be to vote a registration block. And when you look at what's happened in Ferguson, you saw less than 10% turnout among African Americans in that city. And so with that, you know, now is unfortunately too late. Those officials are already there, and the next time that comes around, it is an incredible way and a powerful way to affect change and to make a stance for people who share your beliefs on human rights.
Your Bullet Bucket Challenge certainly does send a powerful message. Orlando Jones, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Up next,